enjoyed it so far. And this is really Carl's legacy. And actually, I want to highlight a couple of the folks who are here. I'd like to introduce Sabia Stouch-Masek, the wife of Carl. We're really thankful for her contributions. Some of the material that went into this, some of the documentation, and some of the recollections. She was one, and a very important part of making this possible. And also, right here up with us, we have Tony Oliver. And just like he had mentioned, that he's really built up a huge name for himself, not only on Robotech, but also as a producer on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And a lot of what you see in the industry today, a lot of the doors were opened by Carl. And this was one of the projects that Carl had worked on. There was a Get Animated exhibit that was shown at the California State Expo last year, and this had become a traveling exhibit. And right now, it's entered another phase in being on display. Right now, it's touring Canada, and this very weekend, I believe it's at an expo in Edmonton. And so. Stay up to date on Robotech.com. You'll see where this exhibit is. It has some exhibits on the history of anime and the history of Robotech, a lot of which was prepared by Carl Masek for the folks who had prepared this exhibit, and a lot of collectibles also in there, many of them handpicked by Carl himself. So this is something that was really exciting to see at the California Expo, and hopefully you'll get a chance to see it when it hits, hopefully, your hometown. Spanish continues to be a very big release for Robotech. This year it's been being released in a unified Spanish release in some territories. Currently it's being released in South America in different territories, and we're adding territories. We'll have some more news on that soon. And Robotech Comics, we had announced this last year. Our big release last year was Prelude to the Shadow Chronicles, the trade paperback. This had included some additional material, some not seen in the movie, tying it together with the Robotech comic universe. And this was the next project that was coming out, Love and War Stories. We had announced that last year. And this was to include a lot of behind-the-scenes Macross stories, that unproduced stories within the Robotech universe to increase the breadth of the Robotech universe. Unfortunately, many of you heard the news. Wildstorm, in DC's most recent restructuring, had been closed down. So this book, unfortunately, had been canceled. This was one in the Wildstorm lineup. However, fortunately, we did just have the release recently in China. So if you guys can order from Amazon China, this is presently we have the entire Robotech collection in trade paperback form. In these trade paperbacks in China, and a lot of the work that DC had put into Love and War Stories, at least they got to see print, if you're good at reading Chinese. Robotech also debuted in ebook form this year. Random House in Del Rey had moved the entire original series, covering the original 85 episodes. Those 12 novels have been condensed into 4 omnibus editions. You can go on to Apple iBooks or Amazon, through your Amazon Kindle. You can download these books right now, so they're available if any of you are classic Jack McKinney fans. And the Robotech role-playing games. These are now presently available in manga size and large format deluxe hardcover. Last year we had announced the most recent book, however, it had not met its original release date. This was Robotech The New Generation, the campaign source book. We presently have a release date from Kevin Simbita. He plans to have it on shelves this year around October to coincide with another Robotech release, which we'll cover very soon. And also, Robotech has been growing very quickly on social networking. Not just Robotech.com, but you can also follow the latest developments on Robotech on twitter.com/RobotechNews or facebook.com/Robotech, or if you just want to type in a lot less on your smartphones, fb.me/Robotech, and it'll forward you to the Facebook page. And actually, we have our first customized little Facebook function added. Now, if you're tired of your Facebook photo, you can create your own customized Robotech little super deformed avatar. So we had this custom done for our Facebook page, and we're grateful to introduce the person who made this possible is Longbo. You may recognize his name. He's the artist of Robotech from the Stars and Love and War, and he's also the co-founder of the .com company Guy Online, which probably makes him the most eligible artist bachelor in this in this convention center. So I'd like to introduce Longbo.
Hi. Yeah. So I guess Tommy told you quite a bit about me. So the app that we made for Facebook lets you basically create characters that you can dress up as Robotech characters. And once you've done that, you can actually export them to use on as your Facebook profile. You can also export them for if you participate on Robotech.com. And also you can put the characters into these little scenes that are pretty much straight out of the anime, and you can save them. It's pretty cool, and you can share them with your friends on Facebook. So our company actually does, we want to help promote brands, like cool brands like Robotech, and also promote interesting people in entertainment. So this is our newest product, which is a means for people to create these really cool splash pages to show off who they are and what they do in the industry. So this one is a sample of cosplayer Linda Lee, who's actually sitting right over there. Say hi. She does amazing work. So as you can see, there's a bar that lets you spotlight a lot of things that you want to show about yourself, whether it be your image portfolio or you want to link to press releases and things like that. And so we hope that you'll come and sign up and actually check out to see all the cool people that are in the industry, all the people behind the scenes like Steve and Tommy, making all their really cool things that you like to watch.
All right, thank you, Long. And all right, moving on. Big question we always get. How many of you know that the live-action film rights to Robotech have been spoken for? You know, I am actually genuinely surprised every year because I would think that everybody in the room would raise their hand and know that somebody has the live-action film rights to Robotech. Well, okay. If you guys don't already know, Warner Brothers has picked up the live-action film rights for Robotech. They actually picked it up a few years ago. And it's still in development. And for those of you who did not know about this since last year, we'll just go over it real quick. The production team, Tattoo Project, it's Akiva Goldsman, Jason Netter, Toby Maguire. You may recognize some of those names. They include some of the people who worked on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and also Jason Netter also worked on Robotech Shadow Chronicles, and he also worked on Wanted. And Toby Maguire made $1 billion on some Marvel franchise. I'm sure you guys know which one it is, right? And the writers, they include Lawrence Kasdan, Alfred Guy, Miles Miller, who wrote one of Tobey Maguire's movies, Spider-Man 2, which is considered the best of the Spider-Mans. And Lawrence Kasdan wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark and Empire Strikes Back, which are respectively considered the best of those series as well. And Tom Rob-Smith, New York Times bestseller. So Warner Brothers has really brought forward, showed how serious they are by reaching out to some of the biggest talent in the industry to work on Robotech. They're continuing to work on the project. From firsthand experience, I know they're working very hard on it. Now, if it seems like things are very quiet, it's because that's the way a studio wants it. All internal development is kept internal. I'd love to speak more about it, but then if I do, the next thing I'll be saying is, do you want fries with that? Another big question we get asked a lot. We announced this project last year. We thought we were going to release it in time for the 25th anniversary. As a matter of fact, we wanted it to come out before we sold out of the last soundtrack, but unfortunately we didn't meet that date. And you're probably asking, what's up? I mean, we said we found the original Robotech master. no pun intended. This is this is the 2-track master that had the original stereo masters for Robotech. We found it, and we were able to do a cleaner transfer than ever before. You know, we thought we were done. We were going to have a better sounding soundtrack with some additional tracks that we didn't know we had before. Then we found this. The master on the right was the one we thought we had, and then the one on the right is a new master that we didn't know about. And so when we opened up the box, they were both labeled the same thing and contained the same tracks. And we're wondering, well, why is this one different? And we looked all over the place for an engineer who could read this. All right, they contain the same number of tracks, both of them. So we're wondering what's different about the other one. So we had to find an engineer that had this, which is a 2-inch tape, a tape that can read a reel 2 inches wide. And the engineer said that there was only 2 of these left in the country, and I asked him, how do you know? And he says, well, the other guy and I both know each other. And so we had the best transfer done, and what we got back was every single instrument was isolated on this 2-inch tape. And so what we could do now is we can do a new stereo mix in which we can place all the instruments properly on the stage, a better stereo mix than ever before. So, and we can, you know, balance things out. So if you thought Min-Mei's voice was not loud enough, or if you thought you wanted to hear a little more guitar, we're able to properly balance these instruments now. So we're going to have the best sounding soundtrack so far with these new elements that we were able to pull in. So, and also we're mastering in 24-bit audio instead of 16-bit now, so it's going to be a much better process. Another question we get, what about more Robotech? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a teaser that we had at last year's Comic-Con that we were going to work on some new Robotech. There was something called Shadow Rising on the horizon. However, we decided to take a little detour. This is like a little graphical test that we had done. A lot of people had thought that, you know, with some of the new Robotech we had done, we had embraced digital production techniques. And some people thought that maybe it was a little bit too clean, a little bit too new. I mean, there were a lot of people who just tell us, take me back to the 80s, you know. How many of you are like that? All right, how many of you like the new, clean, polished, you know, soft focus, digitally produced? And how many of you just like good old-fashioned 80s anime? With film grain and the whole 9 yards. Okay. All right, well, okay. I'd like you to turn off your cameras again. I know, that whole thing again.